Hey guys, do I need to look for some more income? I heard next week you're going to stop getting paid. It's all over the news. Everyone says the real estate agent is done for. Is this true? But first, this is going to be brought to you by Mr. Chris Rooney, home expert. You need to be soaking up the sun and making waves in Prior Lake this summer. Come on, jump in.
Chris, your legs looked great in that last shot.
That was Morgan and then Christine. Christine's the foot model for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's a good sport.
I think I'm going to be spending a lot of time on the lake starting next week. We're not getting paid anymore, so it's like I think it's retirement time.
Full time, baby.
So it's gone. It's done.
Well, Chris, why don't we talk a little bit about this settlement that was done with NAR. I'll tell you what, I'm gonna sound just
Oh no.
Okay.
What Andy says is what Andy says. It's not Chris Rooney.
These are not the beliefs of Remax or NAR. Or here's the thing: talk about the world's biggest money grab scam in the world in an effort to filibuster, blow apart the largest lobbying campaign group in the country, which is National Association of Realtors, right behind the National Rifle, NRA or whatever it is. And so I think this was a direct attempt by the judicial system to try to bust this thing apart. And they're trying to come up with something that I think didn't really exist, maybe in some states, but in Minnesota, Chris, we've had disclosure laws for years where we disclose completely what we're getting paid, how we're getting paid, where we're getting paid, who's paying who, and it was never an issue. I never had an issue with anybody ever saying, wait, what a minute, you're getting paid for your time? Everybody expected it. Everybody talked about it up front. Other states didn't have that. So they went after us nationally, and they got this big settlement, which talks about like the commissions that, because nobody knew the commissions were there, they thought they paid more for the house, or that the house prices were inflated just to pay commissions. And it's like, duh, it does. Of course it does. Just like home builders, the price of the house is inflated to cover their profit. It's everybody gets paid for their time, and you're a fool to think that everything you touch and buy doesn't have that profit on it. I mean, everything, and so
Absolutely.
Explain a little bit better for everybody here beyond my trying to keep emotionally checked.
I think you did. I think you actually did a really good job. And I think that what people need to realize that in Minnesota, there's one thing that's changed, and that is how the realtors find out how they're getting paid. That's the only thing. They took it. It used to be on the MLS system that no one else could see. The realtors could see it, and it would state that there's a commission that the listing agent is willing to share with a buyer's agent. And so there's a commission from a seller on the seller side. And what it is that we do it, and then we decide, hey, we want to have other agents help us. So I want Andy to show it. I want, George and Bill and everyone else that has these clients, that represents these clients, that's been working with these clients, that know these clients. I'm willing to share what they're paying me with that person. And we've always done that. And I think the one thing is that people say, oh boy, if you're helping a buyer, you don't get paid anymore. The reality is that it's always been that there's a contract that states that, hey, we're going to be able to get this commission, and we'll get it through MLS in a co-op situation from the listing broker. And if we weren't able to get that, maybe we're able to negotiate it. Maybe the seller is going to pay it. And if all else fails, at that point, the buyer ends up being able to pay for it. It's a service. And I think where things kind of got screwed up is that buyer agents would use hey, Andy, it doesn't cost you anything to use me, and just totally wreck their worth. And people wouldn't explain exactly what it is, but everything that has been in place was in place. Now it's just kind of explained a little more and forces you to explain it to somebody, which you should have been doing the whole time anyways.
Well, or, the other thing is like in commercial real estate, I always, everybody said, oh, it's the wild, wild west. But here's the thing. Let's say that, you're out there and you want to hire me to buy a commercial building, help you find it, source it, write the contracts, do whatever. We talk about what services you're looking for up front. And then I determine, because it's a free market, at least it still is for now, where we can determine what that value is for that service. So do you want to pay me 2.7? Do you want to pay me 3%? Do you want, whatever that is? Because sometimes the job
10%.
10%, whatever it is, right? So you can get hired to do that at, whatever they need. So now that rolls to the residential front. And let's say that there's a consumer out there that thinks they're smarter than the real estate agent and they want to buy direct. I think the biggest caveat to that is that they're going to buy direct, but now you have to hire your own team to write your contracts because, first of all, if I'm a listing agent and I only have a contract that represents the seller, all my fiduciary responsibilities now as a real estate agent are given to who I'm hired by, which is my seller. Now, you come in as a buyer unrepresented, I have to ask my client, how do you want me to treat them? If they say, well, write it up, we'll take it. I'll say, great, we'll present your offer as soon as you get it to us. I'm not writing anything up for them. I mean, I'm not giving them any help. I'm not guiding them. I have no responsibility to them unless my seller tells me. And then the seller might say, Andy, will pay you more, which defeats the whole purpose of all this, to take care of the buyer. Because now the second I touch those forms, I mean, now I have to have errors with emissions insurance to cover if they all of a sudden decide they didn't like the way the transaction happened, or they have to hire an attorney. So the point of all of this is this. I just signed one yesterday, and I brought the new forms with me. And they looked me right in the face and they go, oh my God, you guys are trying to make this more difficult than it was before, aren't you?
Yeah.
And they blame the agents. And I said, this is your government. And I'll tell you what, and this is all the attorneys that got a big fat stake out of this, coming after the association. I said, they made it more complex, thinking that they were giving more freedom and clarity. And all it does is confuses everybody, because when you go through that new form, it goes through so many different options. People are like, I just want to list my house for 7%. And I don't care what you do. You want to pay out a good commission, good for you. They don't even care what I pay out. But now I have to explain it. And I say, do I, as the broker, are you paying me directly? And then I'm going to pay them? Or are you going to actually pay the other broker directly? Are you going to pay the consumer directly? And all this has to be disclosed now. It's so goofy. And, for the 1% that it gets used in the mindset that these people that concocted all this will happen, it's not worth all the hassles. I mean, it's making the real estate agents work harder. And I'll tell you what, if you're a smart real estate agent, now you're not going for 2.7, now you're going for 3, because you're going to have to call and verify. There's all this extra work that's being done by the buyer's agents. I would charge more. So thank you, everybody that was a part of this lawsuit. You just increased everybody's costs.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the way it's going to be.
It's true. It's very true. And it's really unfortunate. And the people that are going to be confused is the general market. It's the people that are out there. But I think what people have to remember is that something that's never changed. I've been doing this for 34 years. It's never changed. Is that commission's always been negotiable. And so they say, oh, it's no more 6%. No, you know what? It could be 10%. It could be 12%. I've talked to agents that, hey, if I'm going to be having to take care of the house and go do showings, it's based on service. And the other thing is we always have the opportunity to be able to say, hey, I'm a risk versus reward. The higher the risk, the higher the reward. Okay, plain simple fact. If you want to just pay me, that's great. And now, why don't people do that? Well, no, if my house doesn't sell, well, I still have to do all the work. I mean, and you might, from a house sale perspective, you might be turning people down. You might not be realistic on what you're trying to do. You might not even have your house look good. The buyer might show up and act like they're really good finance, and then all of a sudden the appraisal goes bad. And then, oh, nope, they lost their job. Oh, they don't have any money. Who's handling all that stuff for you?
Oh, they didn't order the appraisals. Oh, they didn't do the inspection within the window they're given.
That's where the problem's going to be, is that these buyers are representing themselves. And you know what? There's a lot of people that can totally handle themselves, but they don't know what it is. I mean, I've run into so many situations lately that it's like, boy, that's the reason you paid for someone, because I've seen on the other side where it's like, oh my God, they just totally stiffed their client.
Well,
like, it was not my fault. I represented this person.
Yeah, but I mean, here's even as a buyer, the people with the most capacity to do this are probably attorneys. Would you not agree? They can do their own paperwork. They can do their own whatever. I've had 2 attorneys in the last 6 months that have worked with me to help them buy houses because they value the service I provide. The contract part's easy. That for them, that's like they read it in their sleep. It's the searching, it's the setting up, it's the giving the market analysis, it's the guiding them through the home inspections, all the different timelines that are lined up. All of that is a service that, just like they have paralegals, they don't want to do everything themselves either. And so the thing is that there are services being provided. Now, it's the consumer. Does the consumer see that value? And I think what you're going to see from a lot of real estate agents is there's going to be a big educational curve that before you just go out and open doors, like these, I call them all the Zillow agents, they just unlock the doors and say, you want to buy it? Let's do it. Those agents now are going to have to sit down with you and explain to you before we open the door, you're going to have to be under some kind of a relationship contract now. You can't just go unlock the door. So I don't know if they're going to be signing on the hood of the car in the driveway to let them do a showing quick or what they're going to do, but it does.
They're not going to do it. They're not going to do it. And when they're not going to do it, I mean, everyone should understand. And I mean, we have a thing called agency relationships in a real estate transaction. At first substantive contact, we have to go over that. I do it on every one of my listing agreements or listing appointments because it's like, I have to tell them before they start talking about stuff. And they're all like, oh my God, I've never heard that before. No one ever does it. It's just like, it's that. Now it's going to turn into, oh yeah, we'll get that later. Don't worry. We'll backdate it. We'll do this and that. And I'll still show it to you. And it's like, is that what you want? You don't. I mean, just get them the information, give it to them up front. This is what it is. And if someone doesn't want to do it, why are you working with them? You know, and a buyer has every right not to be able to do it. They have every right. But
I actually, you know, with the amount of no offense to agents, but I'll just say it this way: there's a lot of agents that are out there beyond their own skill set, and you need an agent in your corner just to guide you through that clown's experience that they're providing. And I'm telling you, there's times where I deal with this all the time. Like, how about these buyers agents that come in there and actually will write an offer contingent upon inspection? They wait till the last day to do the inspection, and then they're screaming at me on the phone, hey, this thing expires at midnight. You need to respond to this. I'm like, you guys are the ones that went all the way to the end of the runway before you let me do anything. I'm out of runway. I have no time to respond. I wish the forms committee would all be fired and the old forms committee would be brought back so that we could actually bring back you have this many days, then we have this many days, then you have this many days. Because that was the only way these clowns that are out there understand how to play the game. Otherwise, they're like, well, we have 10 days to decide what we want to do. And then they wait till the last second to launch the plane, and I have no response time.
I agree.